How confident are you that we understand China's offensive cyber capabilities that they could deploy against the United States?
I mean, I think we have a very good understanding of the major threats out there from adversaries. So we have huge capabilities, as you know, in the intelligence community. We've been building capabilities to understand from a military perspective, our North Star, we are the defenders. So my whole life is about cyber defense. But in order to be a good defender, we have to understand the offense as well. And that's why my time in the intelligence community really has helped me be a better defender. But, at the end of the day, you bring up something that I really worry about. I worry about the next 10 years being a decisive time when we will be able to win the battle or lose the battle for technological innovation. When you look at things like who is setting the standards for technology these days, most of the chairs and vice chairs of those committees are Chinese. So the government has a very heavy hand in what are going to be those technology standards of the future. I worry about things like how are we going to get ahead of 6G when we kind of failed to do it with 5G? What about artificial intelligence? What about biotech? What about quantum? One thing that I'm starting to put a big focus on at CISA, working with our international partners, is smart cities. When you think about everything getting digitized, that's so great. Everything's so much easier when everything's smart, but think about the risks of that. And so there's so much that we need to do to truly invest in research, in people, in technology, and capabilities to be able to stay ahead of this power curve when it comes to technology innovation.
Is it a plausible scenario that in the next 10 years, the Chinese could become technologically dominant compared to the United States?
I think it's a concern. I think it is a concern. And so that's why I think we need to ensure we have the alliances. We are building the right incentive models. We are investing in the research to keep the edge on technological innovation. I think it's, it is not at all clear that we are always going to be dominant in that. And that's why the investment is so important.
Now, given how much we're hammering the Russians and given how badly they've been performing militarily in the field in Ukraine, does that also translate into Russia's cyber future, that China's really where we should be more worried about, even though the Russians historically have been the bigger concern?
Yeah, the short answer is no. You've heard the old trope that Russia's a hurricane, China is climate change. And certainly if you look at the long term, when we think about the size of China, the investments that they're making in their capabilities, a serious long-term concern, particularly about some of the emerging tech issues that I just addressed. But they are both, along with Iran and North Korea, very formidable adversaries from a cyber perspective. They have placed a lot of investment in all of their capabilities and in their people, and we should not take the wrong lessons from the fact that Russia has not done as well as many of us expected militarily in Ukraine. And so we have been for several months now running a campaign called Shields Up to help everybody understand that we are in an elevated threat environment. We know that the Russian playbook is all about using cyber to go after critical infrastructure. We've seen that many times in Ukraine. We've seen it here in the US. And we need to be prepared to be able to respond to any sort of attacks, whether it's a direct attack on our critical infrastructure or whether it's a ransomware group that might be aligned that could give Russia some plausible deniability, but could have a serious impact, as we saw in Colonial Pipeline last May.
Now, that was before the Russian invasion of Ukraine. That was before the unprecedented U.S. and other allied sanctions against Russia. I have to presume that we expect that there's going to be a full-throated cyber response, retaliation from the Russians. But am I to understand that since the invasion of Ukraine, you have not seen significant cyber attacks, successful or unsuccessful, against critical infrastructure in the United States from Russia?
We have seen no cyber attacks, as we would say, on critical infrastructure of any note that we know of. Again, there are cases where there may be an impact, but certainly given our role in protecting and defending critical infrastructure, that would very likely have been something that came to us. So no, we have not, but we continue to tell all of our partners that we are not out of the woods. We need to continue to stay vigilant and keep our shields up and keep focused on maintaining security and resilience capabilities for the nation.